Greetings and welcome to EBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism. I'm Hikma Tamam with the news for the hour. Do stay with us. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, Ambassador Taye Asqaselasse, met today with Ambassador Mohammed Omar Gad, Egypt's ambassador to Ethiopia, to discuss bilateral, regional and multilateral issues of mutual concern. Among other things, the discussion centered on enhancing bilateral relations, current state of affairs in Sudan, and the threats that Al-Shabaab poses to Somalia, the region, and the post-ATMIS mechanism and Ethiopia's concerns. The National Bank of Ethiopia announced that it will be conducting a special foreign exchange auction on August 7, 2024. Depending on market conditions, additional foreign exchange auction may be conducted over the coming weeks, it was revealed. Interested banks are invited to submit their bids to the Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Reserve Management Directorate at the National Bank of Ethiopia between 10 a.m. and 12 noon on August 7, 2024. The submission of auction bids shall include the volume of US dollars being requested and the offer price expressed as per USD at which a bank is willing to purchase the availed US dollars. According to the statement of NBE, successful banks will be sold US dollars at the bid price they have offered, and no bank will be provided more than 20% of the total funds made available at the auction. Enhancing and digitalizing economy is an instrument to realize inclusive, sustainable development in Africa. Themed Digital Transformation for Inclusive, Sustainable Development and the Africa We Want, the Model Africa Union Ethiopia, together with partners, held International Youth Week. Tagassar Nisa has the following report.
The Model Africa Union Ethiopia, together with various partners, have organized the International Youth Week with a simulation conference where the youth from around Ethiopia playing the role of heads of states. During the event, Head of African Governance Architecture Secretariat for AU, Ambassador Salah Hamad, disclosed that unless Africa engages its youth demographic, the continent might not change as it should.
Since I was youth, and I still kind of a youth at heart, that feel that our future as Africans and the future of this continent, Africa, cannot change unless we engage and involve the African youth. So therefore, this meeting today is quite an important meeting, simply because we are all youth around the table. Secondly, and this is also another important reason, I'm happy, well, let's say extra happier, because I see more females around the table than males. And this is a sign, a good sign, that Africa is on the right place. Africa is on the right path to the future. Why? Because without the empowerment of the African women, Africa will not be able to develop itself.
He further stressed that the diversity Africa have must be the reason for the continent to remain united.
What we really need to do today, and this is the call that we are very loudly calling for as AGA-APSA Secretariat, is to engage the youth in building new societies. The new societies is based on a new narrative. The new narrative is that we are quite diverse. I'm from this tribe, you are from that tribe, she is from that tribe, he is from that tribe. But what brings us together is our countries and our continent. So diversity, the diversity we live and the diversity we have must be a reason for us to be united, not to be divided.
Hannah Tadessa from Model Africa Union Ethiopia, for her part, stated that the primary objective of celebrating International Youth Week is to recognize and highlight the important role that young people play in shaping societies.
The primary objective of celebrating International Youth Week is to recognize, highlight, highlight the important role that young people play in shaping our societies and drive positive impact. International Youth Week aims to raise global awareness of the youth issues, promote their active participation in decision-making, foster intergenerational dialogues, highlight their achievements in various fields, advocate for youth rights and opportunities, and inspire youth leadership. It promotes youth engagement on arts, sports, and social activism, and advocates for policies that support youth rights and opportunities.
Celebrating this Youth International Week is expected to provide an opportunity to celebrate young people's views and initiatives on a global scale. Today, young people hold a crucial role working towards implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2063, and related frameworks.
Information is showing that over millions of Ethiopians are facing the impact of extreme poverty across the country. Further activities are needed to curb the problem. Information is showing that over millions of Ethiopians are facing the impact of extreme poverty across the country. Further activities are needed to curb the problem. Oxford Policy Management, an initiative that encourages local researchers in a bid to fight poverty, stressed the need to evidence-based data to end extreme poverty. Sharing their insights to EBC, researchers said the initiative provides an opportunity to identify drivers of extreme poverty. Goshu Meliso for more.
Ethiopia has made significant strides in poverty reduction measures in the past few decades, however, still faces some challenges due to multiple reasons. The Deep Research Consortium has identified gaps that lack of evidence-based data makes difficult Ethiopia's path to poverty reduction. This remark was made while Oxford Policy Management launched the initiative to support poverty reduction efforts by funding local researchers and policymakers. Talking to EBC, Charles Sokle, country director of Oxford Policy Management Tanzania, stated the need to evidence-based data to tackle extreme poverty.
There is a facility, a challenge fund, for them to be able to work together to provide evidence for tackling poverty. We call it data and evidence for extreme poverty. So there are three broad areas or broad questions on how to tackle poverty. It's like where is poverty happening, what is driving poverty, and then what can we do to end poverty, and how does poverty change in its different forms as time goes by. So it is a fund that helps researchers to be able to answer those questions and feed back to the policy making in Ethiopia.
Meanwhile, researchers pointed out that the program has multiple advantages to them as well as policymakers.
The DEEP challenge provides research opportunities for young and upcoming early career researchers. So to me, there are multiple advantages of having this program in the country. One, it's an independent research program which often provides insights for decision makers without any prejudice regarding the nature of the analysis that they do, the methodologies they choose to employ, and also the statistical data that they use to base their research. The second advantage is, as you know, Ethiopia has a long-running policy of reducing poverty through various initiatives. The one that's currently very active is, for instance, the Social Protection Program, which covers millions of Ethiopians who are facing livelihood challenges in rural and urban areas.
The country director for Oxford Policy Management and UN senior expert said Ethiopia is doing credible work with its Green Legacy initiative to tackle climate change, stressing that this effort must be supported by research.
The government of Ethiopia is already doing credible work in terms of tackling climate change, and what this program is providing is additional resources to be able to provide more evidence.
Ethiopia is taking the right measures, the right strategy for the development and prosperity of its people, thanks to the leadership, because the first key for development is to have leadership with ambitious vision for the country.
Ethiopia is striving to be self-sufficient with expanded farmland and cutting-edge irrigation schemes.
The Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, erected in the center of Addis Ababa, is a living heritage that reminds us the sacrifices paid for the independence of Black people across the globe. Foreign scholars who visited the museum said more than 240 researchers invited from 34 countries to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the discovery of Lucy have visited the Adwa Memorial Museum and other historical sites in Addis Ababa. Foreign scholars from the US, Tanzania said the victory of Adwa is a shared history and a symbol of pride, not only for Ethiopia, but also for the entire Africa. Shagai Mata presents more from Ethiopian News Agency.
More than 240 researchers invited from 34 countries to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the discovery of Lucy visited the Adwa Memorial Museum and other historical sites in Addis Ababa. Professor Charles Musiba, a paleontologist from Duke University in the US, indicated that the victory of Adwa is a shared history and a symbol of pride not only for Ethiopia but also for the entire Africa.
The one who writes the history is the one who dictates the future, and Adwa is one of these unique places in which Africa, basically, we can be proud of, not only just Ethiopia, but the entire continent, because that's where, I would say, the resistance to colonialism and plundering of Africa was actually stopped. And Adwa, I would say that as a Pan-Africanist, Ethiopia is in the forefront of actually making this happen. And I'm really glad to see that this museum preserves the history of Adwa in a way that every African child should come and actually learn what happened.
Professor Donald Johnson, for his part, stated that all Africans should visit the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum to properly grasp the greatness of this historical event and its shared values.
I think a historical museum like this is very important for every Ethiopian to know more about their own ancestry and their own history. And I think people from all over Africa would come and see this and learn more and more about what Ethiopia is, how they struggled, how they survived, and how they are really the only country that has not been colonized. And this is an important lesson for countries all over Africa.
For the Tanzanian anthropologist, the museum is a living testament to demonstrate the struggle of African forefathers for their independence.
Very inspiring museum. It reminds us, especially new generation, of the struggle the Africans went, or our fathers and grandfathers, how they fought for the African continent. And as we see here, it really inspired not only the Ethiopians, but the entire Africa, and it paved the way to the independences in most countries back in the 60s. This history here, the exhibition, all the texts are written by the winner of the war. That was Ethiopians. So they wrote their own history. It is important to write our own history. We should not let other people to write our own history. As a victor, we have to narrate the history ourselves.
The scholars described the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum as a state-of-the-art facility that depicts the history of Adwa, inviting everybody, especially tourists, to visit the place.
And now finally, a recap of the top stories once again. The Model Africa Union Ethiopia, together with partners, held International Youth Week in Addis Ababa. And Oxford Policy Management stresses the need to evidence-based data to end extreme poverty. Well, that's it for now. You have been watching ABC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism. I was Hikma Tamam with the news for the hour. Do stay tuned in for more programs of ABC World.